Jay Tholen is a video game developer and musician who previously made the game Dropsy in 2015. It's a pretty cute, cheap game about a clown that I quite liked. You don't need to play it to watch this video, but I recommend it. A couple months ago, in the year of our Lord 2019, he bestowed upon us a new game, Hypnospace Outlaw. In it, you play a law enforcer on a 90s-inspired internet service called Hypnospace, where you browse the web in your dreams. If that already catches your eye, I'd say that you should buy it right now, since 1, this game is very good, 2, it's only $20, and 3, this video is literally only about the ending of the game and how impactful it was, so it will be absolutely filled to the brim with spoilers. I'll give you some time to play it. You're back. Good. It was a great game, wasn't it? Now, before I get into how this game made me feel things, let's describe the plot of this game for people who didn't care about the spoiler warning, you dumb idiots! Anyways, you begin fulfilling your duties as an enforcer, flagging minor violations for hypnocoins at the cost of upsetting many of the users. A hacker, coder, and artist named Tim is involved in your first majorly consequential case due to the pranks he pulls to impress his crush, a girl named Dark Twilight Tiff. A creepypasta, it's called Scaries, but it's basically a creepypasta writer who Tim does the art for. They're mainly just jokes that get out of hand, but over time things start to escalate. While this is happening, Dylan Merchant, the lead programmer for Hypnospace, is creating a game named Outlaw for the service. Despite being the COO of Merchantsoft, the company responsible for Hypnospace, he isn't a very cautious person, and ends up frying his enforcers' headbands with his buggy early version of the game. In time, the player receives a new headband and deals with more of Tim's hijinks until a piracy case is sent out, which culminates with the player flagging Dylan, who was the pirate, and being kicked as a result. In the final phase of the player's career as an enforcer, they're sent to handle Tim's year 2000 mine crash warning on the Teentopia page, which claims a virus is about to be spread which will crash all of Hypnospace. This virus was made up. It was all just a ploy to get his crush, Tiff, to start talking to him again. Except, plot twist, a real mine crash does end up happening when Dylan's completed version of Outlaw crashes all of Hypnospace. This legitimately kills people, and Tim is blamed for all of it, and sent to prison for over 6 years. This is where things actually get sad. Now, I'd say that this section is a clear anti-cop metaphor for it, as you're an enforcer, and every little action you do as one ends up upsetting people. But the epilogue, where you help a team of archivists in the modern day, has a completely different meaning. While plot elements tie into the second act, as I'll call it, Act 1 is completely different from the epilogue. If you got to the epilogue thinking that all that was left was an Easter egg hunt, there's a lot more that you're missing. The idea behind this section is that you're supposed to archive parts of Hypnospace and find segments of it that people are curious about. These puzzles were pretty fun, looking back to the past and seeing more about what's going on in the weirder sections. However, there's a part of the archive project's main page about the mine crash that really got to me. The fatalities list. The people who were killed in the mine crash included Zane, who was an asshole, but people were assholes to him too. If he was allowed to grow out of his edgy teen phase, he might have grown as a person, but he wasn't able to. There was Roddy Wall, the developer for Merchantsoft, who was killed by the very thing he had worked on. And then there was Tiff. Tim had accidentally killed his love. Well, he didn't. The person who caused the mine crash was Dylan Merchant. He covered up evidence to keep the people from realizing that Hypnospace was dangerous, and when it crashed, he ran away from the consequences. He let people think that this innocent teen, who might have gone a bit too far sometimes, killed 5 people, including his love. He was struck with his guilt for years and years, stuck in prison, thinking that he had killed the person who had loved the most, and multiple other innocent people, including an old lady in a nursing home. This was all his fault. He was the one who killed Hypnospace. I feel like this represents anxiety and imposter syndrome over things that you might not have done, but you imagine that you did do. And that's one of the main things that this makes me feel really fucking sad. I can relate to this shit. When people are like offline for a long time after I say something, I always assume that they're offline because I said something bad to them. Even if I didn't do anything bad, I always think that I am. I can relate to the way Tim feels. When you're ready to out Dylan as being responsible for the deaths of 5 people, as well as Tim's years in prison and resultant trauma, he sends you the final version of Outlaw. You drive through a glitched out representation of hypnospace with Gumshoe, Gooper, and Granny Cream's hot butter ice cream flying in the background, capturing and releasing the souls of the people killed in the mine crash. Each person you capture releases a text file dedicated to them, written by Dylan, apologizing for what he's done, filled with regret and sorrow. He feels so sorry for this. He tries to help the people who he hurt. He really wanted to make hypnospace an amazing place, and he failed. And then the credits roll. The reason why Hypnospace Outlaw gave me feelings is because how well it portrays anxiety and loss. I already mentioned how it portrays anxiety, with Tim being stuck with the trauma of something he didn't do for years. But let's get into the loss segment, and don't make a fucking loss.jpg joke. I know you're gonna do it. Stop right now. Characters who are actually developed, who can make people feel empathy for them, die, and you feel something from it. When I found out that Zane and Tiff died, I felt so heartbroken. I then found out that you could stop Zane from dying, which hurt me even more. I could have stopped this terrible thing. This is all my fault. Zane and Tiff are actual characters who I knew from the very beginning when I explored Teentopia. They were only teens. They could develop, they could improve, all because of this one mistake. It's all gone. They never had a chance. You don't want to see that happen. You never want to lose anyone. And this game portrays losing someone in such a careful and beautiful way. People feel guilt. People feel regret. Something happens. While some games might make me feel things, none make me feel things for this reason well. It's so difficult to get right. And Hypnospace Outlaw got it so right that I'm just surprised. Thank you, and good night.